G'day subscribers, I'm Jules Knight and today we're going to talk about getting the knowledge you need to put your car back together. You're on Jive Talking Garage. Now during the week I've had subscribers reach out and say, oh, you've got a whole heap of all the NASCO accessories. Well, I've got some, I don't have everything. There's people that have got much more than me. And the other thing is about, oh, well, how do you know all the stuff? Well, I don't know all the stuff. It's a matter of getting the information you need, having a read of it, and also it's reading and doing and talking and listening. Not in that order. But anyway, let's just start for you. Now, I think the first thing that everyone needs is a workshop manual. You got to have that, because this is a book of procedures that tells you everything that you need to do, how to undo it, and therefore the reverse is how to put it back together. And while you've got that, I was also talking to subscribers in the last episode, and I told them to go to page 236 and get the wiring diagram and blow it up A3. Well, that just makes your life easier. So I will definitely be using that on mine. So workshop manual, and get the wiring diagram and explode it. Now look, one of the other things that I use a lot of is the little tips and tricks that come out of the distributor scrapbook from the 80s. They're telling you how to do things, and I periodically, not only talk about some of the stuff that falls out of that, but also I put it up at NASCO Bay Jive Talking Garage on the Facebook site. So, that way I'm able to, try and help members, so that when they're looking for, oh, how do I adjust the bonnet, or where's the grommet for the twin light package and stuff like that, well, it's there. I can direct them to it. Okay, so we've talked about the workshop manual and we've talked about the distributor booklets. Now, look, the other thing that I think is good, and I'll get this is the workshop copy. You need a workshop manual. Now, this tells you a lot of things. It's got all the parts in there. It's got exploded views of what you need, all those sorts of things. But it's also got all the accessories too. It's got the interiors. It's got all of the universal accessories. So there's a whole heap of stuff that's in there. Like, I had one of our members reaching out to me, I don't know, during the week, it was probably about 9 o'clock at night, and asking me about FX and FJ rear brake drum hubs. Well, I was able to go to the 10-year edition of that and go, well, this is what the part numbers say. Well, this is how many part numbers there are of all of the hubs. It's a 2-piece unit and whatever. But that's because you've got the information there. There are gurus out there who know everything, and that's fine. I don't. I have a lot of mates, and I ask lots of questions and do a lot of listening. Anyway, having said that, now the other thing that I like to use, and I'm trying to keep this in some sort of semblance of order, I'll talk to subscribers about the accelerator booklets. Now, these were, there was 10 of these per year that Holden would put out, and they're really like a newsletter of parts and NASCO accessories about what Holdens are doing and what they're putting out and all of those types of things. So I find that's a good source of information as well. What I also like to talk to members about, there is a 48 to EJ booklet with all of the accessories in it. That's really good. I sold my original blue one years ago. I won't say anything new. And then HT, HG, HK, not in that order, that version as well. It's the same dog, different eyebrows, but for later models. So that's really good to get my thought process going, or to be able to look for answers to answer questions. Okay, so that's excellent. Okay, so we've talked about the later model or the later year Master Parts catalogue. So I won't reinvent the wheel. Now the other thing I like is these, which is the NASCO monthly newsletter. This is really good. This tells you a lot of stuff that you don't know. I learnt in the 80s when I got them that you could have an alloy tappet cover, and I thought, you beauty, I want me one of them. And so in 85, when I was going with my mates to the Bendigo swap meet, that's the first thing at shop number 3 that I walked into, and I thought, I know exactly what that is. I'll get me one of them, thank you very much. And I did, and I had that on my ute, and I'll also have it on my panel wagon. So you learn things there. Like, for instance, last month I learnt that General Motors were talking about in December 1954 about having an under bonnet light. Well, when I was a scrutineer, I look at it and I think, really? But without knowing. So it's not what you know, it's what you learn. Because let's just say I've been through scrutineering before and not necessarily agreed with the people. And it's been actually quite good that I've had documentation to say, well, yeah, I understand what you're saying and I know why you think that. However, on this page, and I hate being that type of guy because I'm not. However, in a lot of instances, you deal with people who misinterpret the rules because, I don't know if they don't understand or hasn't been explained to them or whatever is the case. But anyway, put that aside. Now, there is also, and I've got one, what's called a Salesman's Reference. Now, this portfolio is full of, stuff on oil bath air cleaner accessories, oil filter accessories, fender markers, and electrical emergency kits and exhaust deflectors and all of that sort of stuff. And so, that's really good. That's a good source of information. But whenever I have had a NASCO accessory, one of the things that I like to do is I like to keep the fitting instructions. Okay, so that is a NASCO headlamp relay. So for a pair of spotlights. Okay, and there's the diagrams on the back. So it's NASCO. FB, EK, EJ, EH clock. I bought one once for 15 bucks. There's the fitting instructions. Fitting instructions for NASCO Universal Rear Accessories. And the part number, M30978. I've got 2 copies, so that's why I was reading the one down there. So you see, this is where I'm getting all of the information about to be able to talk to subscribers. It's that and the looking at cars and, putting it all together and all of those types of things. And you think, that's how it works. I'll give you an example. We were doing a shoot on Basil's two-tone green FJ, and I like to talk about Basil's because it's a beautiful car. Now, I had seen in the Salesman's Reference or the Accelerator magazine where it talked about the loose louver Venetian blind. And I was in the back seat of Basil's car and I was looking at the back window and I was thinking, that doesn't look like the fixed one that I'm, traditionally seeing. You think, is it right or what? Yeah, and it was right. And it wasn't until the next few days that I was looking through the book, was it a case of, that's what I saw. And so it was a case of putting 2 and 2 together to actually come up with the with the the right answer. So I keep all of the fitting instructions because to me that's really important. Now, in the 80s, there was pretty much nothing. There was nothing. You might get some pictures of Holden or whatever. However, there was no real books until this one came along. The History of Holden Since 1917. Now, that's by a fellow called Norm Darwin, who really knows his stuff. Excellent book. It's got some stock stuff. It's not just FXFJ. So if you're thinking that, you're going to be disappointed, because there's a lot of things that go back to General Motors Australia days, and also Holden and Frost, when it explains how it came into being and all those types of things. So, that's really good. But things really didn't hit their straps for quite some time. There was, picture books at the time. This one, Australia's Own, The History of Holden by Shane Burney. It's not bad, but it's really, there's a bit of text in there, but it's a really big, photo book. A lot of photos and stuff like that, and they're all great and things like that. But I've forgotten all of that because I've been too busy with the real car, I suppose, and the other things that pop up. But look, I've got to say, the fellow that beats them all is Don Loeffler. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, this guy really does know his stuff, and he's also very good at expressing the information and putting it in such a way that people can understand it. And I think, he's really not only very good as far as a historian is concerned, and also as a first-class author, but the book has been well put together, and he keeps the same theme and style, which gives it a set of uniform that the reader does get used to, and also he has the same layout person who does them, and he was saying to me he actually had to wait for his layout person to be. He had the book finished, but he had to wait for the layout person to be well and able to put it in the format that his readers expect. Now, the other thing he does is when I was talking to him, he does these revised editions. And I was asking him about that. He said, well, when he goes to a Holden employees event, there will be, say there's 400 people, whatever. He said, there'll be 100 blokes there, and they'll have these books, and they'll all have little sticky notes hanging out of them telling him how he's wrong. Well, he is able, he's obviously done it from research and asking lots of questions, doing lots of reading and finding out the how this happened and how that happened. And we all do that, and it all happened differently at each of the places. However, Don is smart enough to take the advice of the people that were there and say, okay, well, look, what I need to do is update the information that's in the book, given what I've been told, and, get it more accurate. So it's not a case that he's wrong, because he's not. He's a really first-class operator and author. It's a matter of him trying to make things as precisely accurate as possible, and I salute you, Don Loeffler. So that's the Don Loeffler books. So we've talked about the Accelerator magazine. We've talked about the sales brochures. But what I also do is, when I get the chance, I like Trico stuff because I'm going to have a screen clean. So, I'll get their brochure or their catalogue, and I'll read up on that, and that's where you figure out, oh, well, they also supply, this is the two models that Holden had, because I corresponded that with what was in the Holden literature that I saw the other day in the NASCO newsletter, and you think, oh, well, the same part goes in an E-Type Jag, and, you know, a Cadillac and an Oldsmobile and Chevrolet and yada, and it's like stuff that you didn't know. Because they're not reinventing the wheel, they're just selling components. Because let's face it, Holden didn't make everything. You know, it made the motors, it made the gearboxes, it had the trimmers there, it had the panel beaters and the foundry and the stamping people and the welders and all that sort of thing. But, you know, a lot of the stuff, you know, the tyres, lights, wiring to a certain degree, you know, they all came in from somewhere else. So, you know, I'm also reading up on the specifications. That one's the specification for a panel van. What's this one? You know, got the sedan. You'll need the Universal Products Catalogue. You know, that gives you a whole lot of accessories. And you'll also need to find out about, you know, all the RVB products that were available on the day, particularly if you've got friends in Adelaide that need help. And coupled with that, you know, two other things: the lamp accessories catalogue, and also the vendor that NASCO reached out to for a lot, which is Wybrock. So a lot of the Wybrock products are identical to the NASCO product, and that is because Wybrock made them for NASCO. So you can sort of see, you know, I'm using all of these pieces of information to give me an idea about, you know, what's what. And that coupled with, you know, looking at the cars. I started scrutineering cars in 1983. I started on FJs in 1979 with a mate of mine, Mark Costello, up the road from where, you know, my parents lived in Mount Gravatt. We were both only children in our family, so it was a case of, you know, our parents liked us associating together. He was a nice guy. And he got an FJ Ute, and that was 2 years before I got an FJ Ute. And then I, you know, met some other buddies at the taxi depot where my dad was a shareholder, and they had FJs as well. So, you know, I definitely wanted an FJ Ute, you know, more advertising things. You know, it's just so terrific what they can actually do, or what they did. So it wasn't until about 1983, 84, I started scrutineering cars at Holden rallies, and then I sort of did the club rally. I'd certainly be coupled up with Colin Pryor, Collie Cockroach, and we always had a lot of fun. But I've got to tell you, you know, after you're up and down of, you know, 100, 200 cars, up, you know, around it, underneath it, yeah, you know, you're really sore the next day. And also some people who just, you know, don't get the rules or don't get scrutineering. Scrutineering is not judging the car. Scrutineering is just putting the car and the motor in the correct category so it can compete with cars like cars. So it's not judging at all. But I enjoy scrutineering, and I've done scrutineering at club level, been the state scrutineer, and also been national scrutineer. So yeah, all a bit of fun. Now look, things for my car. I've been asked about that. So I've got a few different little things. So, you know, I've got the battery and the oil bath. My oil bath's already got a really good transfer on it from original, so I'll go with that. And also the little transfer that's there for the vacuum advance unit on the distributor, so I'll do that. And I'm also going to go with that on the back of the windscreen. Now that is a a slide-on transfer, very similar in Queensland like we used to have for our registration stickers. So I'll be running with those things for mine. But that gives you a bit of an idea of the things that I use to be able to put interesting things together, or to be able to answer members' questions for things that I don't know off the top of my head, because let's face it, no one knows everything. And really it's a case of, you know, I'm using the resources that I've got to be able to, yeah, just try and help people. It's not my job, it's a hobby like everybody else. And let's face it, everyone loves their hobby, so it's a matter of just doing things to help people, and also you know, learning new things all the time. And I think that's really, really important, because you can you meet a lot of nice people in this movement, and it's just a matter of learning something new every day and doing something to your FJ every day. So I've learned a few things today, so I'm pretty happy about all that. But you know, the clip will be going up on YouTube, so have a look at our library of other episodes that we've got at Jive Talking Garage. Slip by to Facebook and have a look at the things that we put up at our quirky home of Holden at Nasco Bay, Jive Talking Garage. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe, but more importantly, enjoy your Holden.